Well, the essence of that meaning establishes, for me at least, a real belief in the afterlife and the real belief of Jesus' existence, of God's existence, of my destiny, of the origin of problems on this planet. And we're not destined to have these problems forever. The promise that God makes when we are born is a promise that we are born to succeed. We're not born to fail. That failure is something we adopt. It doesn't happen to us. We adopt it as failure, whatever happens to us. And eventually, if we stay with that feeling of the presence of God and His nature and being, we will never die. I mean, we'll die the earth death, but that's not really a permanent thing. That's a transition into the next level of schooling that we're going to face. That this planet is a school, and hopefully the human race develops to the point where everyone in it realizes their connection with God. And that's a long, long, long time. So we've got a long ways to go. If we don't learn it here, He's provided that we learn it elsewhere. That's after our death. And there it's much easier, because these people that we will meet have free will to do as they choose, but they've chosen to do the will of God. So there are problems that occur, like the Lucifer rebellion that I mentioned. There are problems that occur, but they're solved in a particular way, which the vast majority, any planets not involved in it, are not affected. In other words, God takes care of it. We can talk about how that takes place at another time too. But basically, He takes care of it through this automatic function of the unqualified absolute. Those people bring down the uncontrolled events that are always occurring in the unqualified absolute. They do not have guidance. And what we need is to find guidance of God by praying to Him that He'll help us open the door to His help. I mean, that He'll help us make Himself known. He will make Himself known to us in this life and in this existence we have, and ask Him to help us become people who can recognize His presence. He doesn't do us a favor and come rushing in to do things for us. We have that idea that if we're on God's side, He will make life easy for us and do everything for us. Not so. He will make it possible to the He will help us to the extent that we make it possible for Him to do so by seeking Him out. We have to seek Him out. If we don't, why then we'll end up with a heck of a lot of problems to take care of after we die. And if the problems are so severe that we cannot discover His presence as the I Am, that's why our education will be for that purpose. It'll be to teach us of His presence as the I Am and His importance and what He'll do for us. And we'll eventually come to understand that, all of us, unless we refuse to do it. If we get so angry and so blind by our circumstances and the events that have happened to us that we want nothing to do with God, we'll have our wish. We'll be examined, and I don't mean cross-examined and in a vicious sort of way. We'll be examined in our interior being, the deepest part of our nature, as to the condition or even slightest presence of a wish to know God as the I Am. If that smallest version, if that smallest vision exists within us through an examination, and they've got people, God has created people who can see inside you and nothing can be hidden. If they're called the Ancients of Days, or some variant of that, and the Ancients of Days can see through you like you're a piece of glass, clear glass, and if they find any evidence that you have a glimmering of desire to be in His presence, to be with Him, to become like Him, they will send you to school. And you'll go right along with us to a suitable level of school where you will learn that. And you'll go right along with us into eternity. Or that person will go right along with us into eternity. But if they can't find anything like that alive, it's like there's food in you that hasn't quite digested yet. And if you can digest it, then you can be healthy and happy. And if they can't find any of that existing within you, then your existence is terminated. So it sounds as if Jesus, on his trip down to Rome, found a person that was not going to make it, at least at that point. And Jesus didn't seem to think that he had much of a chance. So that sort of is a very crude and rough picture that I can draw sort of off the top of my head on this subject. Do we have any more time? We do? How much, you think?
12 minutes.
How many?
12 on this one.
Well,
I assume it'll stop recording when it
what
runs
I
out
want
of
to talk
time.
about next is evolution and the final creation of man. It's a big subject. I can't do it in 12 minutes, but maybe I can get a little bit started with it.
Well, it might be getting too dark.
Let's quit.
Yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Okey-doke. Yeah, because I don't know how it looks good.